All right, well, welcome back to the channel. My name is Kevin.
I'm Tarsha.
And this is, of course, Conversations with the Crawleys, where we have conversations about faith, family, relationships, and recaps, reviews, and commentary on some of our favorite TV shows. This is all about, put a ring on it, season 3. Had to think about it for a moment. Season 3 on the OWN network. So this is content that you enjoy. You know what to do. Hit that subscribe, hit the like, request notifications,
and share.
and we will see you, hang out with you in the comments. All right, so this one picks up right where the previous episode left off, where they're sitting outside the hot diggity dog or whatever it is. And Otis has walked away
from the conversation that they were having.
Comes to his senses.
Decides to come back.
And sits down and says he felt terrible about last session. Says it was wrong for him to text the young lady.
Correct.
So he apologizes. We see tears. He cries.
Right.
But she also makes the statement, if we can't fix issues, we can't be friends.
Okay.
So we'll see.
Over.
It's done. All right. Then we see Kenneth hanging out with his big brother over in College Park. On the map, it's College Park, I know. But having lived in Atlanta for 2 years, or at least partied in Atlanta for 2 years, I know it's College Park. All right.
Put it in the comments.
If I'm right or if I'm wrong.
Right.
All right.
How you pronounce that.
Or how you pronounce it. If you're from Atlanta or you Jonesboro or any of those places around Atlanta. Because I know now there's this whole thing. Gwinnett County is not Atlanta. And Buckhead is not Atlanta. I know that there's that whole thing as far as what is and is not Atlanta. But if you're in that region, y'all know what I'm talking about. All right. So Kenneth is hanging out with his big brother.
Right. They cooking steak. You know, he really doing it up. I was like, maybe he should become a chef.
Not putting ketchup on that steak.
His brother put the ketchup on the plate.
Listen, so here's the thing about cooking steak and cooking meats. If it needs something, you have the appropriate thing, right? You might do Worcestershire sauce.
Okay.
You might do some steak sauce, some A1 sauce.
Some A1 sauce, okay.
I don't know. This is just me. Ketchup doesn't really fly with steak for me.
Well, it seemed like he was enjoying it while he was cutting his meat and dipping it in his ketchup.
More power to him. All right. But then we get the information to find out that Shorty reaches out to him, the big brother, and Kenneth's mom, only when there's problems with Kenny.
Right. And she's complaining about Kenny.
Right.
And Kenny like, I'm 35 years old. What am my mother supposed to do? Come over here and whip me? And I don't know if Kenneth did he sound like he was surprised? Like he didn't know this. It was like the brother was just probably sharing for the first time because they're talking about their issue, right?
Right.
So we're not sure if Kenneth knew this or if the brother just started indulging, information about his girl.
Right.
Maybe they were trying to keep balance, like I'm not gonna mess with this. But I can't imagine myself calling your mother to talk about you negatively and what you ain't doing right, like you're supposed to do something. Now, I can see you calling someone saying, hey, can you tell me how does Kevin react to certain situations? Right. Or if I want to get him a surprise gift, do you feel like this is something he would like? Those things. I wouldn't be calling someone I hardly know. And my understanding, she only calls
when there's a problem.
When it's a problem, because the brother brings that up too. She only calls when she has a problem.
And the brother's like, what's she expect us to do? Whose side does she expect us to take? The one that we've known for 35 years, or you who we've known for 3 years?
That's
35, 3.
Right.
I think we're good.
Right. And so to me, that spoke volumes about, okay, you're not trying to get to know Kenneth family. You're not trying to get to know the mom or the brother on a personal level so your families can come together.
Right.
You just want to call them so you can get what you want out of Kenneth.
Right.
And that's it.
So, all right. So then Shay and Alfonso talk.
Right.
And one of the primary issues that they're having is the lack of respect that his mother has for her.
Right.
And Shay brings up, she's like, if we were to ask your mother when did the relationship end with the mother of your child?
Mm-hmm.
Your mother probably wouldn't be able to tell us that.
Mm-hmm.
But if we ask my mother when did a relationship that I had end, Shay's like, my mother could tell you because this is what I tell her.
Right.
So there's this disconnect
Between,
that Shay, or excuse me, that Alfonso has
with his mom.
with having that conversation with his mom.
Exactly. And granted, right, he did have a child with the other young lady. So this person is going to be in their life.
Right.
You know, as the child is growing up. So yeah, I am going to have a relationship with that person.
Right.
Even though while you may have moved on, if you told me that you moved on with someone else.
Mm-hmm.
Not me finding out. I'm assuming she knows they live together.
I hope so.
So I think it's just there is some dysfunction there where he can't feel. He looked like a grown man to me.
Right.
That he can't tell his mom, listen, this is the person who I love.
Right.
And unfortunately, it didn't work out between my child's mother.
Right. There is and I respect my mom. I love my mom. I don't talk crazy to my mom.
Right.
But I have the ability to have an authentic conversation with my mother.
Yeah.
And, part of that, yes, she opened up the door for, but there's a different way I talked to her when I was 15, 16.
Correct.
Than how I talk to her now at my age.
Correct.
Right. And my concern is that Alfonso has not shifted his conversation.
Correct.
There should be the ability to have the conversation to say, listen, I'm not disrupting your relationship with the mother of your grandchild.
Right.
But you are going to have to respect who I'm with now.
Correct.
So.
Correct.
Then Shorty meets with her mom.
Right.
Mom comes in, and the mom makes a statement. She's like, that marriage will not change a person, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's facts.
Facts on top of facts.
Marriage does not change a person. It doesn't do away with things like lust or what have you. Marriage is just the solidification, if you will, of the relationship. But Shorty complains to her mom about Kenny.
Right. And she tells her, you know what? Only thing I know is your side. So I'm going only based off of what you're telling me. And it sounds like maybe I shouldn't be together. But again, I'm hearing that Shorty's doing all the talking about Kenneth to everyone else and what he's not doing right. Does she ever share some of the things he is doing right? Because you are living with him.
Right.
So I'm assuming he got something right.
Right.
But she also makes a statement, I can't remember when it was, but something about giving him time to get his credit together. I think she was talking to her mom, wasn't she?
Yep.
She's like, I was trying to help him and gave him some information where he can get his credit together because I wanted to buy a house, and that never happened. Wow. That's another thing. I never have ever said anything negative about you to my parents. Mm-hmm. That's one thing I would never do.
And I've never done that to my parents, to my mom.
It was very important that I don't care what's going on in my house, you would know that I'm taken care of. Mm-hmm. I'm not being physically hurt, verbally hurt, nothing like that. But that I knew we were going to get over any argument. Mm-hmm. But anything I would say to them, they were going to hold on to it like gold.
Right.
So it's just disheartening that she's sharing all this information about him. And like she said, only I'm getting this from you. And it tends to be negative.
Right.
There was not one clip, and maybe she did say something, but we didn't get it.
Right.
We only got all the negative stuff, she said.
So I think every season we kind of talk about who's the villain, if you will.
Yeah. The
villain of the show. Shorty's becoming the villain of the show. Mm. And the reason I say that, hear me, and I'm not saying that she's evil, right? But what I'm saying is that I think that Shorty has already said that she's above Kenneth as far as she's in a different league, And then we hear it's about her going to his mother and brother.
Saying more
negative things. She's going to her mother, sharing negative things. So if we just hear about those, that tells us that there's others that she goes and tells negative things to, right?
Potentially.
If he's that negative, leave him alone. If he's not in your league, leave him alone. If he's that far beneath you, leave him alone. So the fact that you keep on,
right?
I'm questioning you. I'm not. Yet, granted, yes, I had some concerns with Kenny. I still have some concerns with Kenny, but I have some concerns with Kenny, especially with the taking of of Shorty's phone and taking her banking information. Yeah, that's a problem. But we keep hearing about how he's here.
Right, and you're here. Right.
So why are you here with him then?
Pretty much.
And why are you on the show? Because let's just be honest. If you wanted to break up with him, you didn't need a show to do it.
That's true. Or why would you still be interested in marrying him? Because the show's not going to fix him either.
Because marriage doesn't change the person.
You know, but I am concerned because I know you mentioned this before, is that Shorty has gone on social media saying that she can't get a meeting with Dr. Nicole.
Yeah, we did see that. Yes.
So I don't know what's going on with her and meeting with Dr. Nicole or getting that time, because if she I'm always in the feeling of this, and I'm not big on, even though we are doing something in social media, YouTube, whatever, but when it comes to my personal relationship, going to TV wouldn't be my first way of thinking, this is how we can be able to fix this.
I'm gonna just tell y'all, don't be looking on our video for where we bash each other, or we telling, whoa, woe is me, this is what Tarsha did. We don't do that. That's just not us. Sorry.
I was like, that's not the way I'm gonna go to be able to fix my
But we are authentic and transparent and tell you where we have had some issues.
Right.
You'll hear that.
Right. But so I'm concerned we're using this platform to make a decision where it feels like both sides needs to be able to talk it out, figure out how they got here, right?
And where they going after this.
So.
And it don't need to be the Waffle House. I'll just tell you that.
Right. And I hope that they are getting the conversation they need with Dr. Nicole.
Yes.
So
then Alfonso meets with Dr. Nicole.
Right.
And so we find out it's been 4 years since he's last been with the mother of his child.
Yeah.
That's a long time, right?
Yeah, it seems to be enough time.
But he didn't really break up with her.
He uses the word phase out.
And scene.
What?
What?
How do you phase a woman out who's giving birth to your child? Like, I meet her this month, but next month I don't talk to her or see her. And then 3 months later, she sees me with someone else. I'm like, what? How do you do a phase out of a relationship?
It's like,
I was so confused. How does that work?
It's like you go from talking to her every day to 6 days a week,
right?
5 days,
right? To
and eventually,
2 days.
Eventually, like 6 months later, she gets a text from you every 16 days,
right? And you realize that you're not together, but you have a kid, so you had to go over there and see her,
right? So
you stringing this chick along? You're stringing this other girl along for a ride because you can't man up that you're not together no more. So this is what Shay's not seeing. It's not Alfonso and a Shay problem.
It's an Alfonso problem.
It's an Alfonso problem. Mm-hmm. He has a problem of confrontation. Wow. And so when you live your life like that, well, you just won't see me anymore. Right. Or I'll just stop coming around. Right. And then you'll get it.
Right.
That I don't want to deal with you anymore.
Right.
And that's concerning.
Yes.
Very concerning.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, well, how long did it take? Did you take the whole 4 years to phase her out?
Right.
That's why your mama confused.
Right.
And being mad that trying to call Shay a homewrecker.
Right.
She ain't doing nothing. As far as he was concerned, he phased her out.
Right.
Lord have mercy.
So Dr. Nicole does give him some. She makes this statement, or she kind of helps him to understand how to have the conversation with the mother of his child.
Right.
In that she put it in the terms of valuing, right? I valued you as the person that I was dating. I valued you as the mother of my child. And now that I'm in this space with a new partner, this is how I value you now, right? And so he is going to have those conversations, yes, with his mother. And we find out that the mother of his child calls or speaks with his mother on a
Every
daily
day.
basis.
Yeah, like that's her daughter. But because it sounds like what Dr. Nicole says. Well, you need to go ahead and break up with your baby mama and tell your mama that you broke up with your baby mama. That's what I was hearing. Because he's almost living like two lives,
Right.
based off of the innuendo of what I'm hearing.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, so then Tavi and Shorty go on their second date. She likes Tavi.
Yeah.
Interesting story that he said was the tattoo that he has on the side of his neck. He did it because his daddy wanted him to go into the military, and he's like, I am not going to fight Uncle Sam's war. I am going to put a tattoo on the side of my neck because I know that's against regulations, and that's an automatic reject. And it worked.
Yeah. To me, that's a red flag. Because I would rather you
I'm not going.
Like, Dad, I get the benefits of me participating in the military, but that's not a lifestyle I want to do. So the answer is no. Because I'm assuming he was old enough to say no, and he already had a child.
Right.
And maybe that's the reason why his dad wanted him to go too. Like, you'll get a steady income. You get to see the world, whoop-de-woo.
I appreciate, we value all that have given their service.
Thank you for your service.
But it's not for everybody.
It's not for everybody.
I made a decision when I was coming out of high school. I was like, I don't
come across my mind.
I can't take nobody yelling in my face because I have some issues. I might, respond differently, and that doesn't work well in the military.
Listen, my sister came home and said she had enlisted in an army. I was like, you did what? You go for it, girl. You can take them in your face.
And it worked well for her.
Oh, it did work well.
She just did phenomenal with it.
Yeah, she went overseas and everything, blah, blah, blah. But
not me.
It just wasn't for me.
Right.
I just didn't want to be told and wear boots and run around and have a gun. That's just not me.
Right.
And so I'm concerned, like, well, because my first question was like, oh, wow, so can you tell your dad no? Like, how old were you?
Right.
But they seemed to get along really well.
Right.
And I think the date did go well.
Yeah.
And I know she's comparing, him
to Kenneth.
And she's like, oh, if I would go another day, my man gonna leave me. Well, your man might need to leave you the way you've been treating him.
But the way you talking, if he leave you, you have more space in your apartment. I don't get it. All right. Anyway. So then the ladies are all out at a bar or parlor, whatever.
Yeah.
We find out from Charlie that Otis showed her all the text messages. So kudos to Otis for doing that.
Yeah.
Definitely at least show some maturity and accountability, right?
Or he's opening to the fact that he wants to fight for his relationship.
Right.
I'll give you that. It's a start. So.
But then, she, of course, says that Otis is petty. He was just being very petty.
Right.
And that the messages was retaliation for the fact that she remembered stuff from her first date. That's petty.
That is pretty petty.
That's petty. So Shay asks Shorty and Charlie a question as far as would they be ready to say yes. And both of them like, no, no, we ain't there. Charlie's like, nah, there's still a lot of maturing, a lot of stuff. And even Shorty's like, no, there's still some stuff that he's going to have to work on.
Which makes sense, right? The whole goal is to expose, like, why you guys are not ready for marriage.
Right.
And obviously, it's been there.
Right.
That's why, nothing has moved forward.
Right.
But hopefully, again, they take the time to say it's just worth leaving now than waiting 2-3 more years.
Right. So then we get back to the group, and Shorty talks about her date with Tavi, and she's kind of googly-eyed, if you will,
right,
over over him.
Right.
And Kenneth is like, yeah, she said all that stuff about me too. So she hear all the time. It don't matter. she she says that to everybody that that she's attracted to. He's like, yeah, I ain't really stressing. I heard this before about me. So,
which
well.
I can understand. Basically, it says it's a honeymoon phase,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, you just finally getting to know somebody, and you're like, whoop de doo, oh,
Right.
blah blah blah. All this stuff is great about them, right? And then wait till you get in a relationship with her, then she'll be calling his mama and telling
Right.
his mama things about him.
Right.
So, and they laugh. Dr. Nicole like, boy, Kenneth, you something else. But he's just being honest.
He is, yes.
He's like,
so he does request a separate meeting with Dr. Nicole because I think what he's looking at is like she keeps talking slick out her mouth, and I don't want to respond in a way that's going to do more damage.
right.
So let me get some tools to have these conversations. And Dr. Nicole's like, yep, we can have these conversations. We can talk.
Right.
Now, and again, going back to if Shorty has requested meetings and does not get those, then there's a question about as far as why one is getting the meetings and the other doesn't.
Right.
So we'll see. But again, we don't know what happens the rest of the season, so we'll see.
They tell you there is 4 more episodes. Like,
yeah. Shay basically wants to, she had a good conversation with her family.
Yeah.
Her family, she talked with her mom and her aunt.
Yeah.
Her family is good with Alfonso. Her family likes Alfonso.
Yeah.
They have a good relationship. And so for her, it's again, she wants to have that on the other side.
Well, and in Shay's family, to be honest, is like, but don't waste your time.
That's true.
They told him, like, you're not hurting our feelings. If he's gone,
we good with him as long as you're good with him. But the moment y'all ain't good, we ain't good.
right. So don't waste your time.
Right.
And they've wasted 3 years of heartaches and yelling and screaming and all this carrying on. Nah.
Yeah. And then Charlie and Otis, they talked about their situation where they were too. She had a date.
That's when she was wearing the white dress. Remember? Because they put it in two separate parts.
She had the freakum dress on.
Right.
And even Otis was like, she looked good in that dress. He's like, yeah, that dress was.
And then Charlie said, yeah, the other guy said the same thing.
And hear me, that statement really could have been a dig at Otis, if we're honest.
It could have been.
But he handled it like a champ. He's like, okay.
Makes sense. Like, if I'm a man, he a man. We looking at the same thing.
So it comes time to determine, if there are other dates involved, right? So Shorty is definitely going to do a third date with Tavi.
Right.
Okay. Charlie, dun dun dun, cliffhanger. She changed her mind. We don't know what she's going to do.
No, I'm assuming she's going to go on another date. I don't know.
Which would be interesting because just from what we saw of that date, and again, that date just feels so long ago now because of how they're editing these things.
Right.
Because of how they're editing,
really interested.
It didn't. Right. So it's like
she might not.
I don't know. So we'll see.
We'll see.
Right. So that's it for this recap, review, and commentary. We'll see y'all next time when we figure out how to deal with this editing because it's interesting. All right. Any questions? Anything? All right. We'll see y'all next time. Have a great one. Be blessed.
Bye.